Welcome to another episode of the Muneeb Nawaz Show. I am Muneeb Nawaz, and today I'm going to be talking to somebody who I've practically known since the moment she was born, and somebody who has so much to offer, and that even I don't think she knows how much she has to offer to the world yet. And I'm super proud of her. We're not going to be talking about the usual sort of like the celebrity stuff. We're talking about the human stuff that makes us who we are. Ikra Raza, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Okay, Ikra, for those of them who don't know, the six people who will watch the show, uh, a little bit of an intro because I think आपने रट्टा तो अब तक मार लिया होगा काफी सारी बातें कर करके थोड़ा सा intro दे दो so then we because I have questions for you that is going to be awesome.
So, for the ones who don't know about me, I am Ikra Raza. I'm a holistic mental health therapist, and holistic mental health therapist का मतलब ये होता है that I work with mind, body, and soul. I
Okay.
help my clients to align their mind, body, soul through
Okay.
holistic interventions. जो भी हमारे mind में चल रहा होता है, it comes on the body and then it becomes diseases. So, I do holistic interventions जिसमें हम mind, body, soul तीनों का ख्याल रखते हैं.
Awesome. Okay, for those of you who do not know what that means, it means she makes you a better person, or she brings out the better person inside
Yeah,
you,
that's
basically.
the-
Because everybody's got a good person inside.
everybody.
Okay, so that's where I want to start. If somebody has a good person inside, that means there is also a not so good person inside.
Yes,
So
true.
everybody has that polarity.
Of course, and we need to embrace the polarity. वो dark side को until and unless we embrace it, we won't be able to be the best version of ourselves.
Okay, so if somebody who's going through a tricky time, and I want to get into specifics sooner or later into this conversation, but I want to start this conversation. If somebody's going through a tough time in their life, why are they going through a tough time if they're not supposed to? Because we're not generally supposed to feel bad, right?
Yep.
Authentically, when you reach a point in your life, you realize you're not supposed to feel bad. Then why do we feel bad?
But who says that we are not supposed to feel bad?
Asking.
I don't think so that we are not supposed to feel bad because emotions are the power. So
Okay.
even if we are we label them as negative emotions, but agar we are feeling sad or we're feeling angry or we're feeling overwhelmed or whatever the emotions are, they're not negative emotions. They're just trying to tell us something, that there is something within us that we need to deal with
Okay.
so that we can become a happier version of us.
Okay. So, and what happens when we become happy?
There is this contentment that is around you, that nobody, then you take back your power basically, that nobody around you can trigger you and
Okay.
make you feel sad or happy or whatever. You know that the power is within you, and
Okay.
it's your magical journey. It's you who has the power. And then even if you want to feel sad, you know, okay, fine, I'm feeling sad for 10 minutes, and then okay, fine, it's time to feel happy now.
Okay, awesome. Acha, for everybody who's out there who's trying to figure out what you just said, थोड़ा बहुत मैंने सीख लिया है, मैंने अपनी grind कर ली हुई है, but for those of them out there, there are kids out there who watch this show, and there are people who are very successful entrepreneurs who are trying to figure out कि यार कुछ missing है. अच्छा, ये कुछ missing का element, how does that come into our sort of like manifestation or realization, for that matter? Manifestation नहीं, realization कैसे होती है कि why do we, I'm sure you also still sometimes feel that there's something missing.
Of course.
And there's so many of my friends who keep on saying that there's something missing. मोबी जब भी हम बात करते हैं कहते हैं यार तू क्यों बैठा हुआ है? Why do we feel that there's something missing? Why does one feel that there is something missing?
It's the lack of a connection that we have with our own self, because while growing up हमें कोई ये बताते ही नहीं है कि हमने अपने साथ relationship कैसे build करना है.
Okay.
So that missing part is that part within us, that inner child. वो हमारे अंदर जो एक बच्चा रहता है उसको वो missing part feel होता है. Adult के पास तो सब कुछ होता है, the grown up. But the child within us feels that, oh, something is missing, because we are so used to of external validation and external happiness and external aspects of life, but we are so focused that we forget that everything is within us. So it's important for us to then reconnect with our own selves.
Okay.
Go back and reconnect and see कि वो कौन सी simpler चीजें हैं जिनसे हमें खुशी मिलती है, जिनको हम for granted लेना शुरू कर देते हैं. For instance, just watching a nice show, maybe watching Friends, जो बचपन में हम सब ने देखा and we all had so much fun watching it.
Okay.
So that is the point when we need to nurture the child within us.
So I understand कि आजकल हम लोगों ने inner child को बहुत ज़्यादा बेचना शुरू कर दिया हुआ है. This is something that is like velvet now, like in terms of fashion. It's the new cool thing.
Yeah.
To everybody has to wear, like there was a fad when everybody was wearing velvet, when everybody was wearing this, when everybody was, so the inner child is right now the new
Velvet.
therapeutic
Yeah.
fashion, right? So why aren't we talking about the inner adult? Or या ये concept कहाँ से आया है? Is there a science behind it? Because a lot of us are now actually buying into it. Like every fad, like keto diet का fad आया, everybody started doing that. Like high protein या Atkins का आया, everybody started buying into that. Now I'm asking you कि ये जो inner child का एक concept आ चुका हुआ है,
True.
ये इसके पीछे कुछ scientific study है, or is it something that just makes sense to everybody and easy to digest?
No, इसके पीछे scientific study है, and even in my interventions, जब मैंने अपने clients के साथ काम करना शुरू किया, and especially clients से पहले जब मैंने अपने ऊपर काम करना शुरू किया, when I started working on myself, when I started learning, I saw that there are so many parts of us जिनको हम unrecognized छोड़ देते हैं when we are living our lives. And there are so many parts of us जो feel करते हैं, चले even if अगर हमने unrecognized नहीं छोड़ा, या अगर उनको बाहर से भी प्यार मिला, सब कुछ हुआ, but the feeling of the child within us, the perception of the child was very different. So inner child healing जो होती है वो हमें reconnect करती है हमारे से. More than fashion, I've seen like बहुत ज़्यादा profound results एक sessions के, like breakthrough results अपने clients के साथ, कि कितना important होता है कि going back to your journey and self-reflecting कि as a child हमने क्या perceive किया था, and then as an adult वो हमारी life में किस तरह play out कर रहा है.
Okay, interesting. So let's give examples of some of your personal sort of experiences. For instance, you're now a published author. There you go. You guys must read this. You are an entrepreneur, you're a designer, you are a holistic therapist, and all of the stuff, mashallah, that you do. How do you deal with yourself when things go wrong? Because things go wrong because of no reason sometimes, because there's they go wrong even though they're not really wrong in the bigger scheme of things, but we don't know the bigger scheme of things.
Course.
But we are in that moment, we are not accepting that moment. How do you deal with accept the non-acceptance of that moment?
So for me, I give myself the time, and I give myself that time to grieve, cry, do whatever I want to do. And then I process it. Okay, fine, now this has happened, I'm feeling sad, or this is something that is triggering me. So why is it triggering it?
Okay.
What is the trigger? So I go behind the trigger. And that's where I say inner child healing works. Because when I start doing my EFT, or when I do some simpler meditation techniques, or when I do self-work, journaling, and all of that, then there comes a point of awareness where I understand that this is happening to me because of this belief that I'm carrying, because of this incident that I've seen. Because more than I would say कि हमें सिखाने से ज़्यादा, with kids especially, जब हम बच्चों को सिखा रहे होते हैं, बच्चों के जो learned behaviors होते हैं ना, जो वो बड़ों को करते हुए देख रहे होते हैं, वो ज़्यादा strong होते हैं than the behaviors that we try to teach them.
बिल्कुल,
so we need to become a role model. और मैं ये देखती हूँ कि in my life, in my journey, I've seen that there were a lot of learned behaviors that I had.
Yeah.
And when I understood that I have the power, my mind has the power to shift it, to flip the script.
Okay.
So I did it, alhamdulillah.
Okay, so the reason why I'm asking this is there's a lot of stuff that you, me, and our childhood in our families, we have seen happen.
Yeah.
We may have even sometimes disliked it, but we somehow have it.
Yeah.
We have actually, and this is not just us, I'm talking
It's
about
like
everybody. It's everybody. There are things that that happened in their lifetimes जो कि वो कह रहे थे कि ये बुरी चीज है, और वो वही रिपीट कर रहे होते हैं अपने साथ भी. ठीक है. ये वो कैसे कर रहे होते हैं और उनको रियलाइज भी नहीं हो रहा होता कि ये वही कर रहे हैं जो उनके लेट्स अज्यूम वालिदैन ने किया था. They're becoming a part. Is there a cycle? Is there a pattern? Is there a way to identify when you need therapy or when you need intervention within yourself?
To start up with interventions, it's very important कि हम पहले तो first thing जब कोई भी vulnerable state में होता है, I'm saying all of this because I'm a trained therapist. I've given 7 years of my life to my studies and I've been working on myself and everything. So now I've come to a place where I can recognize and I can do. So talking about therapy, the initial sessions, I would suggest कि खुद से करने की कोशिश ना करें, YouTube और इसकी help ना लें. Go to a professional and seek help.
Okay.
And or have a mentor, somebody who you can look up to and somebody who can put sense in your head, because it's nowadays I've seen the younger generation, they don't have people to look up to, they don't have people who can, you know.
Do us? Do we?
Yeah.
We don't. अच्छा हम younger हैं. ठीक है ठीक है. Sorry हम younger हैं.
But it's very important कि हम correct interventions के लिए जाएं. But जब हम उस point पर आ जाएं तो yes, identification, and that's why I spoke about learned behaviors. और वो learned behaviors भी जिनसे हम सीखते हैं, उन्हीं से हम absorb करते हैं right and wrong.
But सवाल यही तो है कि जब हम वो सीख रहे होते हैं, हम कह रहे होते हैं ये बुरा है,
क्योंकि हम उन्हीं से सीख रहे होते हैं.
बट हम ये कह रहे हैं ना कि ये बुरा है, और फिर मैं वही कर रहा हूँ. फॉर इंस्टेंस,
as an adult हम क्या करते हैं, we disassociate from the situation and we don't look at it from the place of judgment. We look at it from the place of love and compassion, because हम सारे इस दुनिया में learn experience करने आए हैं ना. तो अगर collective level पे हम देखें तो like I work with so many clients every day and I see कि story थोड़ी सी tweaked होती है, but everybody is experiencing the same thing.
वही मैं बड़ा दुखी हूँ.
Either मैं बड़ा दुखी हूँ, और abandonment issues हैं, और rejection issues हैं, और जो भी हैं, and it's all coming from the childhood.
Okay, एक सवाल. Why do we remember as human beings supposedly the problems and not, because देखो मैं अपने बच्चे को डांटता भी हूँ, बट मैं अपने बच्चे को उससे 800 गुना ज्यादा प्यार भी देता हूँ. ठीक है. जब मैं का मतलब है कोई भी, for that matter, I'm just talking about a general parent. I'm sure that's the case with you and that's the case with almost every parent and the child, because this is a conversation that they're generally not having. The child remembers कि आपने एक दफा मुझे डांटा था, right? एक दफा वो याद है उसको, 8 साल पहले की बात भी, 6 साल पहले की बात भी, या कोई भी बात उसको याद है. उसको 1800 दफा वाला प्यार कि रोज रात को जाके आई लव यू नहीं याद रहता. Why are we so attuned to the negative, attracting the negative within ourselves or keeping the negative within ourselves rather than the positive? Because कल मैं अपने पुराने स्कूल गया, मेरे एक दोस्त मुझे लेके गया, मुझे एक भी चीज याद ही नहीं है. हमारी क्लास यहाँ पे थी, यहाँ पे मैं बैठ के, वो दूसरे में बता, यहाँ पे बैठ के मैं बर्गर खाता था, यहाँ पे तू मेरे साथ होता था, यहाँ पे like I just remember, luckily I feel lucky कि मुझे बुरी चीजें याद ही नहीं है. बट मुझे ये बहुत ज्यादा लोगों को लगता मुझे ये है कि these guys remember a lot of the things that were bad. Why?
Because उनके पास कोई it's very important to have somebody to communicate with. It's very important. तो जब एक बच्चा, when the child is coming back from school, do they have that space to communicate what was happening the whole day? Or sometimes anger is I would say more louder than love. So love should be
anger is louder than love.
Yeah, anger is louder than love. कि जब हम बच्चे को डांट भी रहे होते हैं तो what is the place that we are coming from? I'm going back to the same thing that I just said, कि we need to work and operate from the place of love and compassion. हम अपने बच्चों को जब डांट रहे हैं तो is it the frustration that we are taking out? Is it our own baggage जो हम उन पे निकाल रहे हैं?
99% of the times that's the case, right? But I'm just saying,
so resentment वहाँ से आती है.
My point is, why are we holding on to the you know कि मैं मुझे कभी कभी बहुत बुरा लगता है सेकंड आना ना, बहुत मतलब मुझे गुस्सा चढ़ जाता है कि यार ये क्या हुआ है. बट I sometimes, if I have come second once in my life, I don't like it, but I did not like it. I have also come 27 times first. ठीक है, मुझे वो एक दफा का सेकंड याद रहता है फॉरन से. Why? That's what my question is कि हमें negative,
because उस negative के अंदर उस process में there is a learning. It is there to teach us and to make us a better person. और अगर हम उसके पेन पे ज्यादा फोकस करेंगे and we don't focus on the learning part, then that means कि we are not growing, we are not evolving, we are stuck with the situation.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So what you're saying is we are constantly seeking the negative inside us.
Yeah, we are.
Again, my question is why? मतलब हमें क्या ऐसी जरूरत है नेगेटिव इमोशन के साथ आइडेंटिफाई करने की या बी करने की, to just to coexist sometimes.
I think the day we will stop saying कि ये negative है, नेगेटिव को नेगेटिव कहना बंद कर देंगे तो वो पॉजिटिव ही बन जाएगा. We can maybe call it like the polarity of the polarity that is in front of us.
हम नेगेटिव को उस तरह की डेफिनेशन नहीं देते, बट मैं कह रहा हूँ कि रिजेंटमेंट है या कोई इशू है जब हमें है, बट मैं कह रहा हूँ कि देयर आर, आई एम अस्यूमिंग इन एनीबडीज लाइफ इक्वल, मैं कहता हूँ कम से कम भी इक्वल इंस्टेंसेस ऑफ गुड एंड बैड होता है. उस दिन हमारे घर पे एक हमारी दोस्त आई और वो अपनी जिंदगी की उनके अपने मियाँ के साथ, जिनको आप भी जानती हैं मैं भी जानता हूँ, वो आके बुराइयां करना शुरू, क्योंकि वो ये कर रहा है, 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 वो ये कर रहा है. उसने 2 घंटे मुझे बैठ के सारा कुछ सुनाया ना कि जिंदगी के मसले क्या है. मैंने उससे कहा कि अच्छा सुन लिया, वेरी कूल, वास्ट लाइफ यू हैव इन द एंटायर वर्ल्ड. अब एक काम ये करते हैं, हम 5 अच्छी चीज़ें डिस्कस करते हैं आपकी ज़िंदगी में क्या है. हाँ, मेरी पढ़ाई अच्छी है, मेरी शक्ल अच्छी है, मेरे बच्चे अच्छे हैं, मेरी सेहत है, मेरे ये हैं, मेरे वो हैं. मैं कहा अब 5, और मैं कहा अपनी सारी ज़िंदगी की ना बुराइयाँ इस टेबल पे रख दो, ये एक एक बीज, और सारी ज़िंदगी की अच्छाइयाँ रख दो, जितनी भी रख सकती हो. तो वो बीज जो अच्छाइयों के थे वो मेरे ख्याल से, क्योंकि हम कितनों खा रहे थे उस वक्त, आई थिंक 400 गुना ज्यादा होते जा रहे थे. सो व्हाई डू वी बिकम अ बेटर पर्सन फ्रॉम बीइंग अ नॉट सो गुड पर्सन, लाइक फ्रॉम द सेंस ऑफ लाइक कि यार एक प्रॉब्लम लेते हैं हम और उसके साथ हम इतना डीपली आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं कि हम अपनी सारी अच्छाइयाँ एक टाइम के लिए भूल जाते हैं. ये क्यों होता है?
बिकॉज we are all here to learn and we are all here to experience life. अगर लाइफ में सारा कुछ अच्छा होता है तो लोग बोर हो जाते हैं.
नहीं होता.
I know
Look at me, bro. I know
a lot of people I work with, and to be very honest, होता क्या है कि at the end वापस से हम self acceptance पे जाते हैं. वापस से हम acceptance of the parents' journey, acceptance of their journey, acceptance of their environment. And why do we attract situations? Because chaos is a very it's a very identified thing ना, कि हमें while you're growing up आप अपने इर्द-गिर्द situations देखते हो, लोगों को देखते हो, इतना chaotic होता है कि वो एक known zone बन जाता है.
comfort zone
से निकलना फिर लोगों के लिए मुश्किल होता है.
So हम बुराई में comfortable हो जाते हैं.
Exactly.
अच्छा, so one thing that I'm currently kind of pursuing is what happens after acceptance. Like, I got to a place where, there is grief, then you get, in my personal definition of like my processes, कि अच्छा किसी चीज में कोई बुराई आई तो वो grief है. वो नहीं मुझे, मैंने अभी पढ़ी हुई, बट सो grief है, मैंने पर्सनली बनाया. अच्छा, उसके बाद ना आप थोड़ा सा रिलीफ के ऊपर काम करते हो कि यार इसको साइड पे करें, इसको जरा सा होल्ड करते हैं, हम रिलीफ की तरफ आते हैं कि इसके बारे में ना सोच के या इसको कैसे करके हम रिलीफ, फिर आप टुवर्ड्स जीरो न्यूट्रल होते हो और फिर आप आगे अपना बनाते हो कि पॉजिटिव, राइट. So once you become from like a place of grief to happiness, I was told there comes peace. Okay. Peace के बाद क्या है?
Life.
Peace के बाद life है. And that's the फिर circle पूरा है.
And it depends.
What is your definition of life then?
Happiness. Contentment.
तो peace से पहले happiness है.
तो वो happiness and peace are together. They are.
No, happiness is, I feel, because you see, a lot of us, because this is like something that everybody's kind of buying into, this sort of embracing your inner self and all of that stuff. And I I'm not diverging from your place,
No,
am I?
no, no,
Okay.
no.
So सवाल ये है कि देखो अब हम बहुत सारे लोग नेगेटिव रहते हैं. I
हम्म,
understand. लोगों को शौक है नेगेटिव रहने का. बिजनेस में एक बुराई आ जाए, हाय अपनी साथ की दसा आ जाए, वो है ये है वो है, you know, and bro you don't you like I lost $1,000,000 and ये वो.
Yeah.
ये सारा कुछ हमने सुन लिया. अच्छा उसके बाद क्या आता है? But it's good. It's all right. We're getting better. फिर वो एक थोड़ी सी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वाली स्टेज आना शुरू हो जाती है. कैसे हो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, ये वो इस तरह की. अच्छा, because I want to know in your understanding what happens next. Like कल मैंने एक किताब खत्म की, तो उसके अंदर वो सवाल पे खत्म हुई कि what happens next when you stop asking that question is when you've actually started living.
What happens next?
हाँ, that's
So I always say that every phase of life demands a different version of you.
okay.
And it's like learning and unlearning of everything that we are learning right now, the conversation that we are having right now. अब हर stage में conversation वही रहेगी, हमारा process भी वही रहेगा, but the way we handle things, it becomes different.
Okay.
And especially जो life में मैंने अभी तक experience किया है और जो मैंने achieve किया है, it's the balance of loving without attachments.
Okay.
Like having that power.
But have you ever been able to do that?
Yeah,
You have?
I have. and that's amazing.
How does
because
that affect relationships then?
Then it's pure love that I'm doing it for my happiness. Most of
Okay.
the time जब हम लोगों के लिए का ख्याल कर रहे होते हैं or we're doing things for others,
Yeah.
we forget. So it's very interesting. This question I asked my teacher once, ke, what is the perfect way of living? And his answer was very simple. And he said, ke, if whatever you're doing is making you happy, then do it. Otherwise, don't do it.
Okay.
Taking care of your children, going out with your spouse, having a nice meal, going for a walk, reading a book. If it makes you happy, then do it. And if it
Okay.
is not making you happy and you're doing it out of obligation, then it means it's creating another baggage on you, creating another inner child.
Okay. That's very cool. So why would one do something in so for instance मैं अगर कोई अपनी because बहुत सारी पढ़ाइयों में बचपन में ये सिखाया गया था अगर तुम अपने खास तौर पे औरतों के लिए, you know, this is there is a lot of people who are taught or asked to do things.
Yeah, thank you.
There are a lot of people who were asked to do things as a part of their life, especially the girls in this part of the world. Now, you know, cooking, cleaning, this, that, you know, wo jo sare, all the issues that we now have as a society, that's been imposed on a gender. Have to. Or usi tarah, when I speak to a lot of men who don't want to go out and make money, for instance, it is a gender stereotype, right? कि जी आप मर्द हैं, आपने बाहर जाके खेती बाड़ी करनी है, आपने पैसे कमाने हैं, आपने ये करना है, आपने बच्चों को ये कराना. It's social conditioning, right? So when you start doing something for which is your truest self, that makes you truly happy, you know, I became a designer, you became a designer, or whatever, I go to the gym for 7 hours a day, or whatever you do for yourself, somebody, if they find that कि यार ये तुम खुश हो रहे हो but it is affecting me, how do you deal with that? Because I know how do you deal with that, but I want people to know if there is somebody who's being affected by your happiness in a relationship, it could be a spousal relationship, it could be a other relationship, it could be a parental relationship, it could be any form of relationship. If somebody is getting affected adversely by your happiness, because हमें तो ये सिखाया था ना कि जो आप अपने लिए करते हैं आप सेल्फिश हो जाते हैं, तो इसका जवाब दें.
So actually we were having a conversation day before yesterday. I was sitting with some people and we were having the same conversation that there is again everything needs to be in balance.
Okay.
A person who's happy will make everybody happy. ये बात याद रखिएगा. If that self-love is going towards narcissism, and narcissism is also a form of love, self-love, जिसमें लोग इतने self-obsessed हो जाते हैं कि they convert their pain into power of self-love, and they feel that everything needs to be around us or surrounded by us. So a happy person will always make time out to feel for the person, be there for the person, and they will eventually be a source of happiness for people. Or still, if somebody is getting triggered, that means that the other person needs to deal with their triggers.
There
Okay,
you go.
why are your happiness triggering them?
Exactly. So the reason why I asked this question was a lot of people think कि अगर कोई दूसरा इंसान अपनी खुशी के लिए कुछ कर रहा है वो उससे ट्रिगर होके कहते हैं कि वो बड़ा सेल्फिश इंसान है. This happens in a lot of spousal relationships and so many relationships for that matter. अच्छा, हर किसी को लगता है कि मैं आपके लिए आपसे बेहतर सोच सकता हूँ. अरे
ऐसे नहीं होता.
अरे भाई,
ऐसे नहीं
ये क्या बात है? How can I think better for you? Everybody thinks the best for themselves.
Yeah.
But the moment they try to put their thoughts or any form of impositions कि यार तुम ये पहन लो, तुम ये नहीं पहनो, तुम ये करवा लो, ये तुम ऐसे कर लो, ये तो भाई
That's
easy हो
control.
जाओ.
That's not love.
Is that narcissism?
a part of
A level of when you start,
I would say borderline.
See, because there's nothing wrong with, I'm assuming, unless somebody is saying कि यार जैसे अगर आपके सर में दर्द है, it could lead to a bigger problem. So maybe this is a sar mein dard of narcissism.
Yes, it's
where
like
you just take a
borderline.
basic medicine and you solve it, because otherwise this is going to keep on growing, where your control issues until the point where you become a part of what the other person does in their life. How do we, सर के दर्द के लिए पॉन्स्टन वगैरह टाइप की आती है,
ठीक है.
बॉर्डरलाइन नार्सिसिज्म के लिए क्या आता है?
That's why I said when we were having conversation कि detachment is very important. ये जो
process of detachment,
ये जो लोग हैं, the people who try to control, either they have been controlled in life or either they never had control over things. There are two factors जो आपको वहां तक लेके जाते हैं because they are insecure. जो control होता है, that's the insecurity in that person कि what if अगर मैंने control नहीं किया, उसके बाद क्या होगा?
बिल्कुल,
I will lose it. So then when we go deeper, so what will you lose? Everything that I have, my love, my relationship. So when we work deeper, we see कि उन लोगों को तो fear होता है of losing their loved ones. उनको fear होता है of losing control. And then once you deal with that part of you, it's like it's the new person who comes in front of you.
Great. So that's your basic relationship management, basic things. Do not try to control the other person. If you are not finding happiness in the other person and with the other person, that means both of you need to get work done.
And don't even try to control yourself as well. Be the person who you are. So I've seen, and I have seen with my clients, and I've seen in my process of relationship as well, कि while we are growing up, या जैसे जैसे हम life में evolve कर रहे होते हैं, learn कर रहे होते हैं, there's one factor that we try to change. सामने वाले को पता भी नहीं होता. The other person won't even know that this person is putting in so much effort to change. But like we just said, कि social conditioning है, कि be according to that, the other person. And वो एक point पर आके इतना ज़्यादा हो जाता है for that person that the person starts feeling कि now I've done so much, now I need something in return. But the person who's sitting in front of you doesn't even know that what you've done. क्या
आपने इस चीज़ के लिए किया है? So I think in this is relationship 101. Communicate openly, खैर है, बगैर judge. Don't judge, communicate, judge. Don't change yourself for the other person, and don't ask the other person to change for you.
And create healthy boundaries from day one.
What is a healthy boundary?
A healthy boundary is that two people can never be the same.
बिल्कुल.
Either आप friends कह लो, आपके बच्चे हो जाएं, आपके parents हैं, कोई भी relationship में. So understanding that like I was having a conversation with a client the other day. I was doing her parent coaching and I was telling her कि हमारे बच्चे इस दुनिया में आते हैं with a personality जो develop होती है, ठीक है? Social conditioning उसके बाद शुरू होती है. Personality आपकी आती है when you are born, and then वो personality refine होती है. 99.9% पेरेंटिंग में हम उस पर्सनालिटी को चेंज करने की कोशिश करते हैं, हम उसको कंडीशन करने की कोशिश करते हैं rather than कि हम उस पर्सनालिटी को रिफाइन करने की कोशिश करते हैं.
Wow, dude, so cool. I just realized we need to fix something here. अच्छा.
अगर कोई बच्चा क्वाइट है तो हो सकता है वो एक बहुत अच्छा राइटर हो सकता है कि वो फॉरवर्ड थिंकर हो, वो स्पीचेस बहुत अच्छी लिखता हो, वो किंग मेकर हो.
बिल्कुल, हाँ.
बट हम उस क्वाइट बच्चे को कहते हैं फर्स्ट थिंग दैट यू लिसन फ्रॉम द स्कूल इज कि ये क्लास में बात नहीं करता, I used to feel, I used to get this comment from my son's teachers कि ये बात नहीं करता, and I used to come home and have a conversation with him, बोला करो बोला करो बोला करो. And when I started learning and when I started understanding कि how human mind works, I told him, okay, don't talk. If you don't
बिल्कुल
want to talk, don't talk. But
बिल्कुल
then see why you don't want to talk and what is the power behind it. What is it that you can do the best?
ओके
And then with my other one, teacher used to say बहुत बातें करता है. He's the apple of my eye, or was तो हर बात का जवाब उसके पास होता है, and that's who he is. So rather than be conditioning them, we should refine them. I would is a good word.
awesome. So from relationships, let's go to another relationship which we all need to have, is the relationship with money. Okay, which you have,
Oh, yes.
which we have decent of, alhamdulillah, touch wood. But the
Yeah.
point is कि a lot of us again in our society have recently started developing a relationship with money. पहले तो एक imposed relationship with money है ना, कि आपने बस पैसे कमाने हैं irrespective of how, why, बगैर पर्पस के बस भी ऐसे जा रहे हैं, पैसे कमाने हैं, पैसे कमाने हैं, पैसे कमाने हैं, पैसे कितने कमाने हैं पता नहीं, बहुत सारे, क्या करना है पता नहीं, कितने पैसे, बहुत सारे, ठीक है, लिमिट नहीं है. And there's nothing wrong with having limitless amount of resources, but that's also leading to a lot of mental and spiritual unwellness, to say the least.
True.
So physical, spiritual, emotional, relationship wise, a lot of unwellness because there's no purpose behind the money need or the greed. ठीक है, it's not a need based thing, it's a greed based thing.
Greed-based thing.
So for those of them out there who are right now in a because when you have a relationship with a greed based money, you will always be turbulent. For those of them out there who have a turbulent relationship with money, उनको कैसे अपने आप को dissociate करना पड़ेगा with that?
So it's
दिल से नहीं बताना है ये, क्योंकि बिल्कुल घर
I'll tell you it's very interesting कि जब भी कोई चीज when someone has a void for something, so अगर किसी को growing up प्यार नहीं मिला लाइफ में, या उसको लगता है कि उसको प्यार नहीं मिला,
जनरली लोगों को लगता ही है
क्योंकि सबको सब कुछ मिला होता है, एंड जिसको लगता है कि हमारे पास पैसे नहीं थे बट उनकी सारी नीड्स मीट हो रही थी, खाना घर में पक रहा था, everything was happening, parents were there, fees was paid, they were living in a nice house, but because of their perception that पैसे नहीं थे, so they are earning from the place of void. Okay. And when you do anything from the place of void, it will eventually destroy you. And that's with education as well. हम तो भी specifically we are talking about money and power. Money के साथ क्या आता है? Power. Okay. Money brings in power. So there is a greed of power and validation. Look at me.
So that's validation, right?
Yep.
It's primarily. But जो लोग, I know I have a lot of friends who, for some odd reason, because when I meet my friends, I'm like, हाँ यार पैसे कैसे खर्च करते हो हैं? ये क्या हो गया, मतलब ये कोई बात है? नहीं, मैं अब मेरी ना, कल ही मैं एक दोस्त से मिला, और भी क्या हो रहा है यार, मेरा तो तुम्हें पता है अब्बू का ये वाला बिजनेस है, मैंने ये गाड़ियों की ये रखी हुई है, वो रखा, मैं तो नहीं पूछा था. तो so a lot of people out there who are running businesses, not headlessly, but they have like अजीब किस्म के वॉरेन बफे टाइप के गोल्स, नॉट वॉरेन बफे टाइप के गोल्स, बट क्योंकि वॉरेन बफे का अपना गोल था, उसने तो वॉरेन बफे गोल नहीं बनाया, बट दे आर टर्बुलेंट अबाउट other things in life. How does one recognize that my relationship with money in terms of my external validation is getting to a point of obsession and I need to fix it?
And to be honest, because money will not give them satisfaction.
Exactly. So how does one identify?
So
let's
identification is that it's not satisfying you. Even if you have like $5 million in your account and it's not giving you the end goal of being content and happy or being able to live your life. Because I know people, they have Range Rovers parked outside their house and they have so many things, but they're not happy with themselves. They're crying and they have panic attacks and they have issues because and that's why I don't believe in that money can't buy you happiness, but it's true. कि
But
happiness
if you
is
don't
within you.
believe that and you're saying that, that means you're a hypocrite.
No,
Don't be a hypocrite
no,
on
no,
that
no.
show.
But
So I'm
in the
just-
situation, I've learned now. I would say that I've learned that money is an essential, money is an energy, and we need to respect. Just like हम इंसान को respect करते हैं, just like
हाँ.
we respect each other.
Any
human
resource,
beings, any
हवा,
resource.
this, yeah.
We need to respect money. If
Okay.
money flows to us, or if money is flowing to us, we have a social responsibility as well with money. We have emotional responsibility as well with
Okay.
money. ठीक
Yeah.
है? And when we are fulfilling those responsibilities, money will respect us.
Okay.
और अगर हम money को for granted लेंगे, अगर if we are going to use that money to put others down, to do breach of trust करते हैं लोग, there's so many things that even if after all of that money stays with you, it will not give you that satisfaction that you want.
Okay.
Even
And
if you have so much.
so there's so many instances that, you know, I have seen a lot of my rich friends being really unhappy. Right. And I, like you said, a lot of people believe that money can buy you happiness, and it's better to cry in a Ferrari than
to cry on
than
yeah.
cry on an empty street or an empty stomach, and
or a
again,
bicycle
or whatever, or just crying. I said, don't cry, bro. Just be happy on a
No,
bicycle
I say
for that
cry
matter.
and then be happy, because cry is like releasing whatever you're holding on
Yes,
to.
for sure. But you know, so first thing that you said was that if you feel that you are discontent with the amount of money you have, that's when you need to learn to dissociate your identity with money, right? That's the
True,
most important
true.
thing. And if you still don't, then you are basically digging your own grave into unhappiness. So this is your relationship advice with money 101.
Yeah.
Spousal bhi kar liya, money bhi kar liya. Now, a tricky slope, which is your relationship 101 with faith.
Yep.
Okay. मेरा बड़ा मजेदार relationship रहा है with faith over the past 25 odd years. Really funny, really amazing. I've cherished every moment of the absurdity of my relationship with God, and still to date I enjoy it. But for those, I've met people who have apparently lost faith. ठीक है? Who are no longer practicing what they believe in. Yeah, they are no longer believing in things. In your understanding, what is faith?
What is faith? Faith is love for me. Love
Okay.
for my God.
Okay.
Love for Allah. So I work, and it's not because I'm not based here in Pakistan. I'm based in Dubai. So I had this opportunity to meet people from different religions,
Yes.
different cultures, और उनके साथ काम करके I understood कि spirituality और religion दो different चीजें हैं. And then again वो एक ही चीज है, because it's your connection with the higher force up there.
Yeah.
हमारे लिए, for me, it's with my Allah.
Yeah.
And strangely, growing up, मैंने एक चीज देखी थी कि, and I've seen this now as well, कि fear of God is instilled in people.
Yeah.
जबकि love of God, like whatever we are doing or whatever, जो reward हम देखते हैं, जो reward हमें चाहिए, कि हम कहते हैं ना at the end कि अच्छा दुनिया में कुछ नहीं मिला तो अल्लाह दे देगा. So वो जो reward है, वो reward तब तक हम अपने आप को भी नहीं देंगे अगर हमें अपने आप से मोहब्बत नहीं होगी, if we don't love ourselves. So if we don't have that love connection with Allah, fear connection होगा, हम fear driven होंगे, तो फिर तो सजा ही मिलेगी.
तो void से ही निकल रहे हैं फिर से आप.
Then again, going back to the void.
So for those of them out there who are right now, again, because turbulence is how you will get through. I keep saying when you're going through hell, keep going, because उधर रुक के तो आपको वहीं पे रुक गए. अगर if you keep on going, the chances of you coming out on the other side are higher if you keep walking, right? So for those of them out there who are going through a turbulent sort of relationship with faith, I'm not going to say, you know, the name that they practice, because everybody has the right to eventually, because I was just finishing up a book about oneness of like 7-8 religions, and वो सारे वो मैंने अभी पढ़ी. Concepts तो obviously remain very similar, but if anybody is going through a turbulent time with faith, how do they also become dissociated with the concept of faith first?
They do.
Okay, so
And that's
how do they know that they are going through a turbulent time with faith?
So that's because life में कुछ बुरा होता है. There's a trauma in your life, and then you don't process your trauma. So as you start processing your trauma, the moment you come to the stage of anger, there are 5 stages of loss. We'll talk about it some other time. It's a long discussion.
Okay.
So जब हम anger की stage पर आते हैं, at that point we have anger and resentment towards the parents, we have anger towards God, we have anger towards the society, we have anger towards ourselves. And वो एक time होता है जिस वक्त हम process कर रहे होते हैं. So we know that we start blaming कि हमारे साथ ऐसे क्यों हुआ, अल्लाह ने हमारे लिए ऐसे choose किया, God has chosen this for me and this and that. And then we understand that this, whatever we are thinking, we are better than this, because that is the time when we are actually venting out. And then again, it's not what I'm saying. There is a scientific study behind it कि anger की एक stage आती है जिस वक्त disassociation होती है spirituality और faith के साथ भी.
Okay.
And people who are fear driven, जिनको बचपन से बताया जाता है कि सजा मिलेगी बेटा, फिर वो अपना गुस्सा ज्यादा निकालते हैं. Because they say कि okay fine, तो मेरे से इतनी सी गलती होगी और इसकी इतनी बड़ी सजा.
मैं इसको reiterate करता हूँ मेरे सवाल को. I think
Yeah.
So my question is, so for instance there is somebody who was taught religion, ठीक है, when they grew up they realized they didn't have space for that sort of practice in their lives. There are a lot of us, हमारे बहुत सारे दोस्त यार होते हैं कि नमाजें अब नहीं पढ़ते हैं या
वो कैसे सिखाया गया ना, the
So,
training
एक
part is
second,
very important.
Okay, so they are no longer practicing even faithfulness in terms of religion. ठीक है, only हाँ faithfulness नहीं, हम religion को कर लेते हैं.
ठीक है.
अच्छा, but उन्होंने उस non practice of उसमें अपनी sanity ढूंढ ली है और वो कहते हैं यार ठीक है, मतलब मैं तुझे कुछ नहीं कह रहा, but मुझे नहीं लग रहा कि मुझे ये करने की जरूरत है. But then I feel, and हो सकता है मैं गलत हूँ, मुझे लगता है कि हर किसी को थोड़े से फेथ की जरूरत तो होती है. मैं obviously किसी के लिए बेहतर नहीं सोच सकता उससे, वो अपने लिए सोच रहे हैं. Because I now very deeply associate with faith and spirituality and religion. So when I hear people that they are living according to them a happy life, because everybody is trying to live a happy life, right?
So if they're happy that way and if it's not bothering them, then it's their story.
तो वो कैसे आते हैं वापस या नहीं आते हैं या वो खैर है?
Sometimes there is a big turning point
Okay.
for them, a big turning point. And sometimes maybe that is their process of learning and living a life, because then again they're here to experience. Aap aur main, if we feel very close to Allah now and we feel love and we feel that He's always there, and like a lot of times in my therapy जब हम affirmations की बात करते हैं तो मैं अपने clients को कहती हूँ दुआ पढ़ो. And for to my Christian clients as well, मैं उनको इस्लाम Arabic की दुआएं दे देती हूँ कि ये इसकी translation पढ़ो, and they happily read it.
Yeah.
Because they see the results, like 21 times 21 days आप affirm करो दुआ and life is going to change, because they have that belief and they are there to change it. But जो लोग उस journey पे नहीं है, maybe they have come in this world to experience the polarity of not practicing the religion or being empty or whatever. That's their journey. Until or unless they're not destroying anything, they're not becoming I would say कि society के लिए they're not becoming damaging, then I think it's their journey. But if at any point it becomes disastrous for the society or for themselves, it's first for themselves.
Basically all good things, if they constitute a society, then the society is good.
Yeah.
ठीक है. Okay, so we've covered spousal relationships, we've covered money, we've covered faith. Tentatively, we've also covered the parental relationship, but I want to discuss this because I think that's the big thing right now. कि हम लोगों ने अपने बच्चों को कैसे रेज करना है, और जो बच्चे हैं most importantly, because a lot of the kids are also listening to this. Okay. I hope. Okay. How do they get to learn what they're supposed to learn rather than what we are trying to just teach? वो लोग अपने कान कैसे खोलें, क्योंकि ये तो पहली जनरेशन है जो इस तरह की बातें करी है कि बच्चों के इमोशंस को समझो. आपके वालिदैन को मैं थोड़ा सा जानता हूँ तो उनकी जनरेशन के उनके वालिदैन को भी मैं थोड़ा सा जानता हूँ तो चक्कर ये है कि उनको तो नहीं ये कि हमारे इनर चाइल्ड हीलिंग का लफ्ज भी पता होगा कि जी मैं अपने बच्चे को अगर 2-4 लगा भी दूंगा, पड़ी हुई सबको है हमारे घरों में,
हाँ
ठीक है?
सबको
तो दिस इज द फर्स्ट जनरेशन दैट इज ट्राइंग टू टॉक अबाउट चाइल्ड हीलिंग एंड ये वो ऑब्वियसली इसका कोई रिजल्ट जब तक ये बच्चे जो हम लोग पाल रहे हैं बड़े नहीं होंगे तब तक हमें नहीं मिलेगा एज सच. बट two things about parental sort of relationships I want to ask is how is a parent supposed to teach, and more importantly how is a child supposed to learn ये
so for
क्योंकि इसमें
parents
बड़ी डिवीजन है.
so like I feel like I'm a parent as well, so I try वो मैं कहती हूँ कि ये वो trial and error है जो हर जनरेशन ने किया है और अगली जनरेशन ने अपने हिसाब से द बेस्ट किया जो उनको लगता था.
बिल्कुल.
So जो हमारे पेरेंट्स ने किया उनको लगता था कि that is the way of
that is
living,
the only way, yeah.
that's the only way of living. जो उनके पेरेंट्स ने किया उस टाइम पे that was the way of living. और अब ये कि हम थोड़े अवेयर हो गए हैं, हमारे एक्सेस ज़्यादा हो गई है, हमें समझ आ गई है, सो अब हम इमोशनल कनेक्शन के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा काम करते हैं विद द किड्स. So it's very important to have a nice quality conversation with the kids. And I always tell the mothers, always, जो भी mothers इस वक्त हमें सुन रही हैं, जो fathers सुन रहे हैं, कि जिन mothers को ये लगता है कि जो हम घर में सफाई कर रहे हैं, खाना पका रहे हैं, कपड़े धो रहे हैं, all that the work that we are doing, we're doing for the kids. No, we're not doing it for the kids. We are doing it for the system कि ये चीज़ें हमारे घर का एक environment चलता रहे. And vice versa for a father that if he's emotionally unavailable या अगर वो बहुत ज़्यादा काम कर रहा है, रात को घर नहीं आ रहा and he's not available and he's not communicating with the child and saying कि I'm earning because of you, for you. No, even if the children are not there, you're going to provide the bills, you're going to provide the food, everything for yourself. So it's you are doing it for yourself. Now the next question is what is it that you're doing for the kids? Now what you need to do for your kids is to have a nice conversation, chahe 10 minutes a day. But
is
at
it
that
supposed
point,
to be every day?
Every day.
Okay, very good.
And even if like you are just 10 minutes, but quality 10 minutes where you're fully present, your phones are not with you, you have an eye contact or a nice hug where you are genuinely telling your kids that I love you and I'm there for you. And no matter what happens, I'm going to stand by you. That is something that the child will remember. Repetition जो होती है reinforcement की.
ये तो हो गया parent
का role. And for the child
to remember के भाईजान प्यो आया सी या माँ आई सी और उसने ये सारा कुछ काम करने के बाद आपके लिए लेट्स अज्यूम 10 मिनट ही निकाले बिकॉज इवेंचुअली उनको ये याद रहता है कि यार 23 घंटे और 50 मिनट तो नहीं निकाले ना.
बट
तो उनको कैसे समझाएं
तो
कि
हमने वो क्वालिटी करके देखी है और उसके बाद बिकॉज एंड जहाँ पर आपसे गलती हो जाए बिकॉज आई डू दैट आई हैव अ कॉन्वर्सेशन आई हैव गॉट अ 17-year-old so I always have a conversation with him and I tell him that the things that I haven't done right according to you, those were the lessons for you to learn कि if you know ये अब मैंने आगे नहीं करना. Of course हम पे भी तो कितना कुछ डला है because as a human we will make mistakes. As human we are also learning every day, every step. So for the kids to understand, so as we take responsibility even in Islam, अल्लाह ताला ने माँ बाप को उनका रोल बता दिया कि आपने अपने बच्चों के लिए you're answerable, you're this, you're that. एंड एट द सेम टाइम बच्चों को उनका रोल बता दिया कि अपनी माँ को उफ नहीं करो, बूढ़े माँ बाप का ख्याल रखो, ऐसे करो वैसे करो, बिकॉज दोनों के ऊपर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी डल गई, पेरेंट्स पे भी डल गई और बच्चों पे भी डल गई. सो नाउ फॉर द किड्स टू अंडरस्टैंड कि अगर कहीं पर हमें इनकी बात समझ नहीं आई तो इसमें हमारे लिए क्या लर्निंग है, और जितनी छोटी एज में हम उनको वो आइडेंटिफाई कराना शुरू कर दें उतना वो बच्चे सक्सेसफुल होते जाते हैं अपनी लाइफ में बिकॉज उनको लर्निंग इंटीग्रेट करनी आ जाती है लाइफ में.
वेरी कूल. टू थिंग्स क्विकली बिकॉज गर्मी ज्यादा हो रही है. so all the relationships that we've covered, the other relationship that I want to talk about is this gender relationship. ठीक है, उसमें जो polarity आ चुकी हुई है, male, female, masculine, feminine, this, that, jabba dabba do, and the you know everything in between. I feel there has to be a point of view that connects more than it divides. How do we create? I'm not saying जो अब ये जो हैं वो तो हैं, बट इससे आगे जो मसले हो चुके हुए हैं कि जी डिवाइड आ चुका हुआ है, ये
हाँ।
फेमिनिन जॉब्स हैं, ये मैस्कुलिन जॉब्स हैं, ये स्टीरियोटिपिकल फेमिनिन रोल्स हैं, ये मैस्कुलिन रोल्स हैं, ये सारा कुछ आ चुका हुआ है. According to somebody who thinks of life in a bigger picture, so many thousands of years later, supposedly we're living in a patriarchal society, supposedly, and I say that only because I feel there is one set of society which is totally patriarchal, and there's another set of society which is not patriarchal, which is confusiacal. Basically उधर कभी जिसका दिल चाहता है वो हीरो बन जाता है, जिसका हीरो दिल नहीं चाहता वो हीरो नहीं बनता, वो विलन बन जाता है.
Exactly.
And so how do we kind of take this conversation further कि as a woman who has broken all basic gender stereotypes, mashallah se, what are you going to say to your daughter, to your younger self, and to the men?
So it's
Your sons,
it's
for that
very
matter.
interesting when I'm raising my kids, like 2 boys and 2 girls. First thing that I was very mindful of कि मैंने ये gender discrimination नहीं करनी अपने घर में कि ये मेरा बेटा है, so he needs to do this, and ये मेरी बेटी है तो she needs to serve. Because हमारी दिमाग में एक ये concept होता है कि the girl needs to serve and the boy needs to feed probably, या अगर नहीं भी feed करा फिर भी the girl needs to serve. So in my process of becoming the person that I've become now, मैंने थोड़ा opposite करके देखा, because जो मैंने learn किया एक learned behavior था मेरा, जो मैंने अपनी पुरानी generations में देखा कि जिस तरह वो अपने बेटे पालते थे मैंने अपनी बेटी पाली, और जैसे वो अपनी बेटियां पाल रहे थे मैंने अपने बेटे पाले. More responsible, कि उनको पता है कि रात को लॉक्स लगाने हैं, उनको पता है कि लाइट्स ऑफ करनी है, उनको पता है कि घर में बहन है, we need to be there, okay it's 12 o'clock is the deadline, we need to be back, because we have this element of trust. So probably shifting the mindset कि सर्व किसी ने किसी को नहीं करना, हमने अपने बच्चों को एक अच्छा इंसान बनाना है और दोनों ने एक दूसरे को सर्व करना है और एक दूसरे के साथ बैलेंस और प्यार के साथ रहना है, respecting the space.
I'm hoping for a more profound answer, because you know that's understandable what you're saying. What I'm asking is कि अब ये जो gender divide एक आ चुका हुआ है हमारे दरमियान में, बड़ा serious divide है. It's not an easy thing to, I think, overcome in a couple of years, for that matter. I think there has to be a point of view कि क्या हम लोग as a society इतने divide होने के बाद successful हो सकते हैं? मेरे ख्याल से तो नहीं हो सकते. But अगर for instance मेरे हिसाब से नहीं हो सकते, so, from a woman's perspective.
So according to my point of view, I personally feel that the effort, everybody, if we start doing effort on personal level, अपने अपने घरों में, so it's going to become a big change. Rather than कि मैं निकल जाऊं अपने घर को छोड़ के बाहर इस्लाम फैलाने या बाहर को change करने, until I have been through the process of it and done it, like at least done my part with the 4 kids that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me. So that's my contribution. And then at the same time, the parents that I work with, and when I see those changes in their houses, it's already a community that's building up. So जैसे जैसे वो community built up होनी शुरू होगी, automatically on larger level वो change आ जाएगा. Because I see that change now in Pakistan as well. जब मैं shops पे जाती हूँ, and I feel so proud that girls are working. Now अब आप देखेंगे टेल पे लड़कियाँ बैठी हुई हैं. 20 years back उनको ये access नहीं थी कि वो बाहर निकल के ये काम कर सकती हैं.
So what would you say to the men right now?
Be more responsible.
Okay, cool. So last thing is your relationship with yourself.
Oh, that's the first thing, by the way.
Exactly.
Like,
the
last
reason,
but not the least.
No, this is the last, because this, if you can listen to this, that's when everything else will start to make sense.
Of course.
So a lot of us don't even know that there is a relationship to be had within myself, not just without myself, within myself. There are so many layers to everybody. The child, the middle child, the ye child, the wo child, the, you know, the adolescent, the adult. There's so many. Matlab yaar, I feel there's a part of me that yesterday I need to deal with today. You know, there's yesterday I got pissed at something that I shouldn't have gotten pissed at, and I fixed myself today. So it wasn't the child, because child तो मैंने पहले fix कर लिया था. कल एक नई चीज हुई जो जिंदगी में पहली दफा हुई. I was so happy with it as well. it pissed me off, but I was also very happy because it was
You
something
could identify
कि
ना.
ये नई चीज हुई है,
हाँ,
and it was great. I haven't felt like that. It was super awesome. So everybody has a relationship with themselves through which they are manifesting thoughts, actions, results.
That's becoming your reality.
That's results become your who you
reality,
are. So
बिल्कुल.
अगर आप अपनी जिंदगी के साथ currently at any point in your life there is any level of you that is discontent, that means there's a part of you that you need to get to.
Connect.
How in simplistic terms, because आपने मुझे तो एक किताब ला के दे दी, फिर मुझे किसी और ने 3 किताबें ला के दे दी, मैंने वो चार्ट ली सारी किताबें. 2-3 मिनट में एक स्टार्टअप कोर्स एक इंसान को अगर मिलना हो रिलेशनशिप विद योरसेल्फ का, उसमें कौन कौन सी वो 4-5 चीजें आइडेंटिफाई करे to start building on, like there's shadow work, there's this work, there's subconscious mind, this work.
बहुत बाद में आता है जब self acceptance के बाद.
मतलब in the sense I'm saying कि first thing a person sitting at home who's never heard of therapy, there would be people like that. उनकी जिंदगी में कुछ कमी है. So अगर आपकी जिंदगी में कोई एक चीज की कमी है तो आप ये बात सुने. Go.
So for everybody who's listening to me today, the first thing that you should do is connect with yourself in the mirror. शीशे में अपनी तरफ देखें. सुबह उठे, first thing in the morning when your subconscious is there. Yeah, that looks very simple. But मैंने अपने clients के साथ ये और बहुत कोई भी नहीं कर सकता.
आप भी ना करिएगा.
अपनी आंखों में देखें और अपने साथ connect करें. And then उसके बाद the second step is gratitude for what you have. Being grateful for.
But that comes later. You can't do that as a first thing in the morning because
mirror technique has to be the first thing.
Okay, but नहीं, उससे भी पहले अभी जो ये randomly बैठ के YouTube पे देख रहे हैं कि यार, और वो कह रहे हैं कि relationship with self होती क्या है, ये सवाल है मेरा आपसे. क्या करना है, नहीं क्या relationship with yourself होती क्या है,
understand करना कि आपको अच्छा क्या लगता है. I am telling you 99.9% लोगों को ये पता ही नहीं है कि उनको अच्छा क्या लगता है और उनको खुशी किस चीज से मिलती है. So identifying the things that you like, the colors that you like, what makes you happy. अच्छे कपड़े पहनने का शौक है, अच्छा खाना खाने का शौक है, but all of these things from the place of self love. अपने लिए I would say कि from the place of love and compassion for yourself and not feeling guilty for doing these things. Okay. And that's the first step.
Okay. मैं इसको थोड़ा सा अपनी add on भी करता हूँ because that's very cool. Because I think your relationship with yourself starts with what you just said, and adding one small thing. It has to be an original thought. You have to think of one original thought, because 99 या 100% of our thoughts, if you review, आपकी कोई ना कोई जहां से भी आपकी ये पूरी किताब का हर लफ्ज आपने पहले से सीखा हुआ है. ठीक है,
और उसको सिंपल बनाना एक एफर्ट थी.
Exactly. So what happens is कि if you are not going to listen to yourself, in bodybuilding they say listen to your body when you want to eat. In fitness they teach you that. CrossFit में भी वही सिखाते हैं listen. अब मैं लोगों को सिखा रहा होता हूँ यार कि listen to your body. मैं मुझे सब ये क्या होता है? I'm like यार, जिस दिन आपका जो खाने का दिल चाहे ना उतना खाओ.
उतना exactly this was the conversation I was having in the afternoon कि your body, even जब हम body stomatics के साथ काम करते हैं, when we do body work, हमारी बॉडी के अंदर मेमोरी होती है और फिर हमारी बॉडी की नीड होती है. वो बॉडी हमारी सिग्नल्स देती है कि अभी बनाना खाने का दिल कर रहा है, अभी दूध खाने का दिल कर रहा है. That's how it is.
Yeah. So your relationship starts, every relationship in your world starts with yourself first. And because without you there is no yourself.
There is no yourself, and then whatever you feel about yourself is the external environment is the reflection of your internal environment. So whatever you feel about yourself, you'll keep on attracting the similar situations in your life until or unless you start respecting and loving yourself completely.
Bilkul. Awesome. Thank you so much. I think we had fun. This was fun.
Yes,
rock and roll, man. See you. Okay.
Thank you.
So that is it. Holy shipokes, that was intense. I hope you guys get to divide this in like smaller chunks and watch it, because you know this was one of the most interesting conversations. I hope कि ये मेरी जिंदगी में आप लोगों तक पहुंच जाए. I think our job now is done. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, I think relationship with yourself, and if you are going through anything that is bothering you, that means that is your starting point. That's not the ending point. That is actually your starting point. Take care. Khuda Hafiz.